Welcome back, my fellow mobile gamers of YouTube. My name is NimbleThor, and I've got 3 great games lined up for you guys today, including one that was even voted as the Game of the Month over on my Patreon community. And before I forget, I'm gonna record a video about the best offline playable mobile RPGs at some point as well, and I could really use you guys' input. So if you have any suggestions for games that should definitely be included in such a video, in such a list, please do let me know down in the comment section, and I'll be down there taking notes, playing those games, seeing if I agree or not. And then, you know, you guys can watch that video when it comes around at some point in the future if you subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. And on that topic of RPGs, I've actually got one of those coming up later in this video as well, so stick around for that. But first, I wanted to kick this week off with the hilarious ragdoll physics sandbox action game called Turbo Dismount. So the interesting thing about this game is that it's actually ported from PC, but it works very well on mobile, and its gameplay has us place ragdoll characters in various vehicles and then hurl these vehicles at obstacles to score as many points as possible by performing stunts and crashes. Now, the way this plays out is that we start by selecting one of the many levels, and then we add obstacles such as stone walls, ramps, traffic cones, turbo pads, or even a minefield. We then pick our favorite wacky vehicle and then launch it straight at these obstacles at the highest possible speed. And then we just sit back, relax, and watch the mayhem unfold in front of us. I mean, just look at this. I mean, how can you say no to this? It's so great. There's no real goal to the game except scoring as many points as possible by doing the most possible damage to our ragdoll character. The thing that truly makes the game great though is the high level of customization that allows us to not only customize each level, but also decide where our ragdoll should be positioned on the various vehicles. I'm not always a fan of this low poly art style, but I think it's a decent fit for the type of gameplay this game offers, and since we don't actually control our vehicle after we've launched it, the controls are also super easy. Turbo Dismount monetizes through a few $1 in-app purchases to unlock additional tracks and vehicles, incentivized ads to try these for free, and then a $5.99 in-app purchase to unlock everything at once and remove all of the advertisements. The game really is a great time killer, and it's just good old fun to experiment with the many combinations of levels, obstacles, vehicles, and character positions for a good few hours at least. The only major thing really missing from the PC version is the level editor. The game can be played offline, takes up 131 MB of space, and it's definitely worth checking for a spin if you enjoy these wacky ragdoll physics games. Now, before we get to the Patreon game of the month, I want to talk a bit about an indie RPG that I've seen getting quite a bit of attention lately called Rune. The game is essentially a roguelike dungeon crawler that boasts 12 characters with unique abilities and starting stats, 5 challenging bosses, and over 100 items to find and use. So on each playthrough of this game, we attempt to get through as many randomly generated dungeon floors as possible while defeating enemies, gathering loot, and consuming resources to cover HP and stamina. One of the things that I found really interesting about this game is that all items have a durability stat as well that wears down whenever we use the item, which basically creates this rush and this need to constantly look for new items because we burn through them very quickly. And if we don't have any weapon anymore, we are sure to die very quickly because we deal very little damage with our fists in this game. In true roguelike fashion, every time we reach a new floor, we get to pick one of 3 random upgrades that last until we die again. And in between deaths, tokens earned through gameplay can be spent on buying permanent upgrades to our health, damage, speed, and much more. So that's basically how we progress in the game. Now, with an almost entirely destructible environment and the ability to kill NPCs either by mistake or, I guess, on purpose, the combat system of Rune just feels different from other roguelikes. And for better or worse, each time we attack or use an ability in this game, it also consumes a bit of stamina, which prevents us from simply hacking and slashing away at enemies, a system that makes the combat more slow-paced than most action RPGs. But unfortunately, the controls just aren't great, and the combat experience does feel a bit clunky because of that. But on the bright side though, the game receives monthly updates, so there is a chance that this will be fixed in the future because the developer is super active and is also very engaged with the community. Rune monetizes through incentivized advertisements to receive a reward between floors, and then in-app purchases up to $9.99 to remove the advertisements and instantly receive more of the tokens used to buy permanent upgrades. It can be played offline, takes up 295 MB of space, and as a game that tries a lot of new things and is still under active development, I think it's worth considering checking out for fans of the genre. Just do be aware that it still needs a bit more polish. Next up this week is the Patreon game of the month, Maestria, which is a beautiful and calm puzzle game that has us bring back musical harmony to 8 mysterious worlds split into 160 levels. So the objective in these levels is to ring bells of different colors in the correct order by carefully pushing around our character and bells to properly position them on the playing field, and then we tap our character, which makes a ring expand around us that activates any build it touches. And I gotta admit, when I say it like that, it sounds pretty simple, right? But later levels also introduce builds that automatically move, builds that are blocked so we cannot move them at all, and various other obstacles that makes the game surprisingly challenging. Now, the art style clearly resembles Monument Valley, with gorgeous visuals, dynamic lighting, and just overall great attention to detail. And combined with the cheery music and sound effects, this gives the game a calm and almost zen-like adventurous feeling. The game is also completely free to play with no ads or in-app purchases, so there's really nothing to ruin the immersion of the gameplay. The many different puzzles are definitely well crafted and entertaining to play through, but the mysterious world and cute storytelling drew me in so well that the game almost became more about exploring and uncovering the short story of the game than the puzzles themselves. At least that was my experience with the game. Just like with Rune though, the biggest downside of this game is the controls that occasionally make it tricky to move our character and builds the way we intend to, and while not game breaking, it is slightly frustrating. It can be played offline, takes up 123 megabytes of space, and the gameplay is unlike anything I've ever played before, so despite its slight control issues, it's honestly just a must try for anyone who enjoys puzzle games. So here's the thing, while I don't typically enjoy games that have no objective at all, I gotta admit that my favorite game this week was Turbo Dismount. Something about the many ways we can make our vehicle blow up or crash in this game just really entertains me. Maybe I should be slightly worried about that. I don't know. Send help, maybe. I don't know. But let me know if you agree or disagree with my views and opinions on these games down in the comment section down below, and then be sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're new around here, and until next time, just keep gaming, stay awesome, and I'll see you guys around. So the interesting thing about this game is that it's actually ported from PC, but it works. It works. And the ability to receive a reward. Oh, awesome.